Morning, students. Hope everyone is safe and fine. Okay, today's class and today we are going to discuss about the complications of middle ear cleft. Before going for the complication for orientation purpose, what is middle ear cleft? What are the parts of the middle ear cleft? The parts of the middle ear cleft, it includes start from the Eustachian tube. It may goes to the middle ear, attic, antrum, mastoid air cells. All these combinedly we called as a middle ear cleft. So everybody knows why the complication is discussing now. The complications of middle ear diseases we're discussing because of the chronic suppurative otitis media. So what the definition of chronic suppurative otitis media? It is the long-standing inflammation or infection of the middle ear cleft with or without ear discharge with permanent perforation. This is the definition for CS1. So we'll start one by one. The complications. Shall we go to the next slide now? Yeah. The complications are classified into intratemporal and intracranial. Intratemporal means extracranial. Okay. So other than brain and around the brain. So what are the complications in intratemporal? Maybe a acute mastoiditis, subperiosteal abscess and post-auricular fistula, petrositis, labyrinthitis, the inflammation infection of the labyrinth, labyrinthine fistula. So fistula is just opening, and facial nerve palsy. What are the intracranial complications? The intracranial complications are extradural abscess, subdural abscess, brain abscess, meningitis, lateral sinus thrombophlebitis or lateral sinus thrombosis, aortic hydrocephalus. These are the intracranial complications, and it also includes facial nerve palsy. So facial nerve palsy involves in both intratemporal and intracranial. We'll see starts with the intratemporal complications. What is acute mastoiditis? It is a persistent, purulent ear discharge due to an acute inflammation or infection of mucosal lining of mastoid antrum and mastoid air cell system occurring as a complication of otitis media. It could be acute or chronic. The infections. The infections where it presents, it's a bony walls of the mastoid air cell. So the plenty of mastoid air cell, out of the mastoid air cells, the bony walls may be infected. Most common form of mastoiditis complicating in children starts with the ASOM. ASOM is an acute suppurative otitis media in children. What is the etiology? The etiology could be organisms from the patient factor, from physician factors also. So now we are classified the etiology system into three. It starts with organism. What are the most common organisms are? Streptococcus pneumonia, H. influenza, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, Proteus, E. coli. So these are some of the bacterial infection, one of the cause of mastoiditis. Mostly, as we discussed earlier, mostly seen in children and some case of immunocompromised patients. In physician factors, so use of antibiotics, so prolonged use of antibiotics, it's not controlled. So we are not choosing the right antibiotics. So all this comes in a play. So otitis media is directly goes to the spread of inflammation to antrum and air cells. Then congestion and edema of mucosa. Adductus opening narrows and disturbs aeration. So what happened? The inflammation is spread to antrum and air cell is the first line. What is antrum? What is mastoid antrum? Mastoid antrum is one of the largest persistent mastoid air cells, one among the air cells. Then what happened? The mucosa becomes edema and congestion. So automatically, if the mucosa is edema and congestion, what will happen? Within the cells, the parts will be very narrow. The adductus opening narrows and disturbs aeration. Mucous membrane thickens and ciliary function is impaired. So automatically what will happen? The drainage will be blocked. So all the middle ear secretion will be collected in the middle ear. It's not coming out through the eustachian tube or something. Then what happens? Serous exudate becomes purulent. The purulent exudate in mastoid. So again, the inflammation or infection will continue. Hyperemia, accumulation of purulent debris. So what will happen? Venous stasis. It leads to local acidosis. Hyperemic decalcification occurs. So small air cells will coalescent. So it may eroded, destroyed. So it becomes a one large cavity filled with pus. So emphysema of mastoid, we call it as acute coalescent mastoiditis. These are the steps or pathogenesis of the mastoiditis. Then coming to the ASOM, initial features. So initially it looks like ASOM. It increases in volume and purulence of the ear discharge, increases in pain over the ear and behind ear. So again, deafness, maybe temporary deafness, maybe a conductive hearing loss will be there. Then any infection in our body, which gives you a generalized malaise and persistent fever will be there. The sign will be generalized redness over the post-auricular region, edema of the mastoid region. So what will happen? The pinna will be pushed forwards because of the collection in the behind the pinna post-auricular region. So what happened? The pinna will be pushed forward unilaterally. Mastoid tenderness will be positive. The reddening and edema in attic region of a deep bony meatus. As shown in the picture, it's clearly shown in the picture of mastoiditis. Mastoid reservoir sign, the discharge is there. Sagging of postero-superior deep meatal wall because of the collection and the posterior wall of the posterior behind the aortic canal. So because of the sagging, because of the collection there, the sagging of the posteromeatal wall will be there. What is masked mastoiditis? Variant, it's one of the variant of mastoiditis occurs when progression of mastoiditis has been modified by antibiotic therapy. Typical picture is of a case of ASOM initially subsiding with antibiotics. However, tympanic membrane perforation fails to heal completely. There may be a persistent tenderness over the mastoid in association with low-grade fever and generalized malaise. Here the picture of CT scan shows the two sides. Here all the mastoid air cells is intact and airy. So the black color shows is a normal mastoid air cells. Here the mastoid air cells is sclerosed, so or clouding. Okay, so it's a diseased site. So what is the treatment? So we have to admit the patient to prevent complications. So we have to give a broad spectrum IV antibiotics. If collection of the pus in the middle ear, then try to drainage the discharge by meningotomy. If there is no response of medical management after 48 hours, complication develops, drainage should be done as a surgical emergency. So after whole thing is drained, so we can go for a cortical mastectomy. Should be done, but whether decide whether it's going to do a surgery within the acute condition or wait for chronic stage. Subperiosteal abscess and post-auricular fistula is one of the complications. Later spread of infection from mastoid antrum and mastoid air cell system. Late complications of untreated or inadequate treatment of serous otitis media. Again, we discussed already about the mastoiditis. So mastoiditis is turned into production of pus under tension, hyperemic decalcification, osteoclastic reabsorption of bone. These two combined and formation of a erosion of the mastoid cortex bone. After the erosion of the mastoid cortex, the pus will escape into the surrounding soft tissues. It leads to collection of the pus, leads to subperiosteal abscess. What are the types of abscess? Post-auricular abscess behind the canal. This is the post-auricular abscess. Basal's abscess. If the abscess happening here, we can't call it as a Basal's abscess. Citylis abscess, Luke abscess, zygomatic abscess, then pharyngeal abscess. Okay. Post-auricular abscess, picture showing the abscess behind the pinna is a post-auricular abscess. Most common type, and this is the classical sign of protruding the ear, pinna, forwards and downwards. Basal's abscess and Citylis abscess. Basal's abscess is it looks like a neck swelling over the sternocleidomastoid muscle. Citylis, it looks like a neck swelling over the posterior belly of the digastric muscle. Picture of acute coalescent mastoiditis. Subperiosteal abscess formation. Here, see the difference between these two. There is abscess collection of the fluid there. The CT, again, the CT shows the collection of fluid there. Pacification of mastoid air cells is there. What's the treatment now? The treatment is complete surgical excision of the mastoid pathology. Drainage of the abscess. So, what is the surgery there? It can be a cortical mastectomy. Removal of associated granulation. Drain both mastoid and abscess cavity. Sequelae, if not treated. So, what happened? Spontaneous rupture by penetration of a periosteal and skin problems. Post-auricular fistula between mastoid and exterior. May be a source of intermittent discharge due to infected middle ear mucosa or cholesteatoma. What's the treatment here? Treatment is surgical excision of fistulous tract with mastoidectomy to deal with the underlying serous otitis media. This is the picture of a dry condition. Here, wet condition, see the pus is coming drain from the opening here. Petrositis is nothing but it is an extension of inflammation of the middle ear or mastoid cavity into the pneumatized cell of Petrus apex occurring as a complications of acute or chronic suppurative otitis media. The group of cells may be involved extension into the Petrus part of the temporal bone, posterior chain, anteroinferior chain. These are the two chains we have. What is acute petrositis? So rare complications of ASOM and acute mastoiditis. The features of acute petrositis are pain along the distribution of the trigeminal nerve, diplopia, otorrhea, ear discharge, photophobia, fever. In some conditions, fever may be present. Facial palsy may be rare and can maybe occur in the last stage. Grady-Negro syndrome, very important short note here. Grady-Negro syndrome, the syndrome means group of symptoms. What are the features of Grady-Negro syndrome? Persistent ear discharge, retroorbital pain, and diplopia. These are the features of the squint. How to diagnose this? Suspected clinically when there is increase in purulent otorrhea with periorbital pain in a patient who has recently undergone simple mastectomy, and the X-ray shows clouding of hair cells, CT, MRI to rule out the extension of the disease. These are the pictures of CT MRI. What is the treatment here? Surgical eradication, initial trial of high dose of antibiotics we have to give. If it is not improved, if it is going to be worsen or complication will be more, then we can consider for a surgical exploration. What is the treatment of choice here? Cortical mastectomy with skeletal incision of a semicircular canal, and any pneumatized tract should be followed along with the posterior superior root of petrous part. These are the schematic diagram. Now coming to the facial nerve palsy. Facial nerve palsy is one of the complications, can be occur both intratemporal and in the cranial also. The paralysis is due to inflammatory swelling of the facial nerve sheath or Philippid canal. In acute otitis media via congenital dehiscence, if it is in a chronic otitis media with and without cholesteatoma, what will happen in the cholesteatoma? It erodes the bone or osteolytic changes will be occur in cholesteatoma. Tympanic part of facial nerve on medial wall of middle ear most commonly affected. How to diagnose the facial palsy? We all know about the terminal branches of the facial nerve. After emerging from the coelomuscle foramen, it gives 5 branches. So when you see the facial nerve palsy patients, if you see the asymmetry of the face on both sides. So loss of voluntary control of the muscles. Bell's, we call it as a Bell's phenomenon. Sometimes have a loss of taste. So what is the asymmetry of the face? So one side, affected side, cannot able to close the eyelid. Angle of deviation to the one side. Not able to clenching the teeth. Okay, so wrinkling the foreheads, asymmetry will be there. What is acute otitis media? So it's a rapid onset. Palsy recovers once infection is controlled. The treatment of choice is antibiotic, rarely myringotomy, and mastectomy. CSOM, we already discussed so many times. CSOM, slow onset, suspect erosive disease of temporal bone, and main thing is ear discharge. To rule out the extension of the disease, can go for a CT scan. The treatment of choice is urgent surgical exploration of the middle ear and the mastoid. Facial nerve should be carefully exposed throughout mainly to the horizontal and vertical segments. If it is compressed, nerve is compressed, then try to nerve decompression. If cholesteatoma is there, then cholesteatoma matrix should be removed. Labyrinthitis is one of the complications here, inflammation of the labyrinth. So it could be spread through the direct spread or spread from meninges or hematogenous. In acute otitis media, involves round window, oval window. Sometimes trauma, accidental injury, or iatrogenic causes will be one of the cause. In chronic otitis media, spread through bone erosion of the otic capsule. Most common site is lateral semicircular canal, called as a fistula formation. In chronic otitis media, it spreads through bone erosion of the otic capsule. In acute media, it spread to the round window or oval window. Serous labyrinthitis, sterile inflammatory condition of the inner ear induced by toxic irritation of membranous labyrinth. Serous exudate as a response to inflammation. Disease can be arrested at this stage. The features include mild vertigo, nystagmus, and mild vision loss. Suppurative labyrinthitis is a diffuse labyrinthine inflammation caused by pyogenic organisms in labyrinth, causes permanent vestibular and cochlear failure. Sometimes you have a severe vertigo. Clinical features includes clinical features nystagmus, movement of the eyeball, severe and profound hearing loss will be there, and features like fever may absent. So if it is an initial stage, irritative jerk nystagmus with fast component codes affected here. If it is a late stage, paralytic jerk nystagmus with fast component away from the affected ear. So the movement of the eyeball should be noted. The treatment of choice is initial stage is a medical treatment, IV antibiotics, avoid head movement, bold, rapid head movement, and vestibular sedatives can be tried. Surgical treatment can be delayed till acute symptoms subside, otherwise it will be worsened. So vestibular rehabilitation exercise after fully recovered, not during acute condition, should not encourage the exercise. Labyrinthine fistula, circumscribed labyrinthitis, erosion of the bone, covering of the labyrinth, and exposure of the underlying endothelium, occurring as a complication of CS1. Features may be very silent, maybe developed vertigo and vision loss. Positive fistula sign is if pressure is maintained, nystagmus develops towards the affected side. On release of pressure, eyes return to midline. The treatment is again try to symptomatic treatment of correction of vertigo. If you suspect labyrinthine erosion, then surgical exploration. If you think of cholesteatoma, then we have to remove the cholesteatoma phase or cholesteatoma matrix by modified radical mastectomy. Out of these complications, a few complications can ask individually as a short notes for you. Thank you for your patient listening, and thank you. If any doubt or any clarification, you can ask us at any time or mail us and we